The alien moon of Varos. 9 was never quiet. Even in daylight, the jungle moved like a living creature. Thick vines twisting, giant leaves shaking, strange insects buzzing in colors no human language could fully describe. But today, something unusual cut through the normal sound of the wild. A deep growl rolled across the sky as Razgar, one of the feared predator dragons of Varos, soared above the thick green canopy. His wings stretched wide like 2 burning red banners, and the sunlight made the scales on his back shine like hot metal. He was returned to his territory when suddenly he froze mid-flight. He smelled blood, fresh, sharp, strong, and not the blood of any animal he knew. Razgar slowed his wings and tilted his head, tasting the air. His pupils tightened into thin slits. Every instinct inside him spoke the same warning. Danger. Dragons did not fear many things, but this was different. It carried a wild smell, like something that had fought before and survived. The scent felt familiar yet strange, like mixed signals in a storm. Razgar followed the trail downward, gliding silently. As he neared the ground, he expected to see a wounded beast, a dangerous predator, or maybe even another dragon trespassing in his territory. But what he found instead made him pause. A human, a lone human, sitting calmly beside a small fire. The man looked relaxed, legs crossed, humming softly while holding something shiny in his hands. He didn't even notice the giant shadow falling over him. The fire crackled softly as the human lifted a piece of cooked meat to his mouth. Razgar narrowed his eyes. This tiny creature was the source of the blood scent. The dragon landed with a heavy thud that shook the ground. Trees trembled. Birds fled into the sky. The human finally looked up, a bit startled but not afraid. Not even a little. Instead, he smiled. Razgar stepped forward, lowering his head to sniff the air again. The blood smell was strong around the human. Maybe he was injured? Maybe he was hiding something dangerous? The dragon's instinct sharpened. He spread his wings just slightly, enough to show his size. Most creatures fell to their knees when a predator dragon did that. But the human simply blinked and said, "Relax, it's only my lunch." Razgar froze. For the first time in years, he had no idea how to respond. Lunch? The blood smell was coming from food? The human waved the cooked meat casually. Beef. From Earth. Smells strong, I know. Razgar stared in confusion. Humans were strange already, but this one was beyond strange. The scent from the food was so close to the smell of battle that even dragons reacted to it. And yet this tiny creature was calmly eating it like it was nothing. The dragon leaned in closer, sniffing the beef. The smell grew stronger, sharper, almost like a wounded creature fighting for its life. "Do not move," Razgar warned, his voice deep enough to shake the leaves. "Blood calls the predators." The human shrugged. "Well, good thing the predators don't scare me." Razgar's eyes widened slightly. Was this creature brave or insane? The human introduced himself with an easy tone. "Name's Dane. Explorer. Not a threat." Razgar's growl rumbled, low and suspicious. "Your scent is confusing. You carry blood but show no pain." "Because it's cooked," Dane replied and took another bite. "Want some?" Razgar stepped back as if insulted. Dragons did not eat food prepared by other species. They hunted fresh. They fought for their meals. They earned their meat with claws and flames. "You offer dragon food?" Razgar asked coldly. Dane shrugged again. "It's polite." The dragon couldn't understand this creature's behavior. No fear. No trembling. No attempt to run or hide. Instead, the human seemed more worried about his lunch getting cold. Razgar studied him carefully, his breathing steady, his heart calm, his eyes sharp and alert. This human understood he was standing in front of a predator that could burn him to ashes in one breath. And yet, he was relaxed, maybe too relaxed. Razgar lowered his head even more, so close that Dane could feel the heat from the dragon's breath. "If you are wounded, say it. If you are bleeding, I must know. Blood will bring the jungle hunters." Dane pointed again at the cooked meat. "That's the only blood here. You're welcome to check, though I prefer if you don't bite me." The dragon growled in annoyance. He hated not understanding things. The human was like a puzzle with no corner pieces. After several long seconds, Razgar pulled back and said, "Humans are strange. And dragons have great noses." Dane joked. Before Razgar could reply, the jungle suddenly went silent. Every insect, every creature, every leaf froze. A new scent entered the air. A heavy, dangerous scent. Razgar's eyes shot toward the trees. Something else had smelled the blood. Something big. Something hungry. He snapped his wings open. "Human, ready yourself." Dane looked up slowly. For what? The trees behind him shook violently. Something moved inside. Something fast. Razgar growled deeply. "You have caught a monster with your food." Dane blinked. "Great. First lunch, now trouble." The dragon stepped in front of the human, claws digging into the ground, and the suspense grew thicker than the jungle fog. The jungle trembled like something giant was pushing through its roots. Every branch shook. Leaves fell like slow, green rain. The air grew heavier, thick enough that even Dane felt it press against his chest. Razgar stood tall, wings half open, his scales shifting from red to a darker shade, almost black. A predator dragon only changed color like that when preparing for fight. Dane slowly raised his hands. "Okay, so I'm guessing that's not a friendly neighbor?" Razgar didn't look back. "No, that is a Vortal hunter. They are drawn by fresh blood. You called it with your food." Dane blinked. "I didn't send out an invitation." The dragon growled, annoyed by the human's casual, joking even in danger. "Your humor will not stop its claws." The jungle exploded. A huge, four-armed creature burst out. Skin armor like rock, eyes glowing sick green, saliva dripping from long, sharp teeth. It landed on all 6 limbs, shaking the ground, sniffing wildly in the air. The Vortal hunter was at least twice the size of Razgar. It roared, a sound so sharp it made Dane's bones vibrate. But the creature did not look at the dragon first. It turned straight toward Dane. The human's heartbeat stayed steady. Razgar noticed. For the second time today, the dragon felt confused. No prey stood like that near a Vortal hunter. No prey kept breathing calmly. No prey stared danger in the eye. Razgar stepped forward, blocking Dane with his wing. "Stay behind me." Dane glanced at him. "That thing's hunting me?" "It hunts anything with blood," Razgar said, lowering his head. "But you are the smallest meal here. It will choose you first." Dane sighed. "Of course it will." Razgar's claws dug into the dirt. Flames built in his throat. The Vortal growled, muscles twitching, preparing to charge. A silent second passed, a deadly pause before the storm. Then, the creature leaped with terrifying speed. Razgar blasted a jet of fire. The flames hit the Vortal's chest, exploding into sparks. But instead of falling back, the beast pushed the fire and slammed into Razgar, throwing him off balance. The dragon crashed sideways, carving a trench in the ground with his body. Dane didn't run. He didn't freeze. He simply reached for his backpack. Razgar lifted his head in shock. "Human, move." But Dane already had something in his hand, a small silver tube. The Vortal turned toward him again, saliva dripping. With a violent roar, it charged. Dane calmly clicked the tube. A blinding white flare shot out. Not just light, painful light. The Vortal shrieked and stumbled, covering its eyes with its upper arms. The brightness cut through the shadows of the jungle like lightning. Even Razgar had to blink. Dane didn't stop there. He fired another flare directly at the creature's face. The Vortal roared again, backing away, smashing into a tree, claws swinging wildly in the air. It hated light. It lived in the deepest parts of the jungle. The flare was like stabbing it in the mind. Razgar climbed back to his feet, staring at Dane in disbelief. How did you do that?" the dragon said. Dane shrugged. "Her survival kit. Very helpful. Also very bright." The Vortal hunter, still blinded, turned and stumbled into the trees, smashing vines and breaking branches as it retreated with a frustrated roar. Within seconds, the jungle swallowed the creature again. Razgar didn't speak, For a long moment, he just stared at the human. Dane, brushing dust off his clothes, sat down casually next to the fire. So, my lunch is definitely cold now. Razgar approached slowly, as if studying an unknown creature. You did not fear that beast. Of course I did, Dane said casually. But fear doesn't help. Tools help. Razgar tilted his head. You faced the Vortal like it was nothing. It was something, Dane said, but I survived worse. The dragon lowered his wing until it nearly touched Dane's face. You are strange. Your scent says prey, but your actions say hunter. Dane smirked. I prefer a guy trying to eat in peace. Razgar ignored the joke. Your heart did not race. Your breathing stayed steady. Even dragons struggle to stay calm before Vortal. Dane poked at the fire. You were watching my heartbeat? A dragon watches everything. Silence settled between them. The jungle slowly returned to life. Quiet rustles, chirps, distant growls. But Razgar's eyes did not leave the human. Finally, he spoke again, voice low and thoughtful. You carry blood, but not weakness. You smell human, but you behave like something else. Dane raised an eyebrow. Something else. Something dangerous. Razgar said. Something the jungle fears. Dane laughed softly. I'm just human. Razgar shook his head. I fly with warriors. I fight beside fireborn kin. I know strength when I see it. He leaned closer. And you, small one, hide more than you show. Dane didn't deny it. The dragon stepped back and spread his wings slightly. I must understand you. And I, Dane replied, must understand this planet. Before he could say more, a distant roar echoed again. A warning, a reminder. The Vortal hunter was not gone. It was circling, waiting, smelling. Razgar's eyes turned dark. It will return. And next time, it will not run from light. Dane stood up. Then we prepare. For the first time, the dragon gave a small nod of respect. Two very different hunters. One dangerous jungle. And blood in the air. The story had only just begun. Night fell faster on Varos. 9 than on any human world. One moment the sky was gold. The next it was swallowed by deep purple darkness. The jungle came alive with glowing plants, floating spores, and strange clicking sounds that echoed between the trees. Dane sat beside the dying fire, checking the flare tube he'd used earlier. He wiped sweat from his forehead and glanced at Razgar, who stood watched like a tall, red statue carved from war. The dragon hadn't moved in 10 minutes. Not a blink, not a breath too loud. His eyes glowed faintly, fixed on the treeline where the Vortal hunter had vanished. Dane finally spoke. You don't trust the jungle at night. Razgar replied without turning his head. The jungle trusts nothing at night. That is why it survives. Dane nodded slowly. You think the beast will come back? No. Razgar's tail flicked once, sharp as a whip. It is already back. Dane's hand paused mid-motion. Before he could respond, something rustled high above them. Razgar reacted instantly, spinning around and slamming his tail across a huge branch. A shadow dropped from the tree, rolling across the ground. Dane jumped to his feet. Is that the Vortal? No. Razgar took a step closer, sniffing. A scout beast, sent by the Vortal. It wants to find your blood again. The dead creature looked like a twisted lizard with too many eyes. Dane stared. It sent scouts? Those things hunt in teams. Not teams, Razgar growled. Hierarchy. The Vortal hunter is smart. Smarter than most humans would believe. Dane let out a sarcastic breath. Great. A giant monster with a strategy. Razgar ignored the comment. It knows you blinded it. It will not attack the same way again. Dane checked his flare tube. I've got one more shot. One. Razgar hissed. You face a jungle-born killer with one tiny light stick. It worked last time. Yes, last time was foolish. Now it is angry. Before Dane could answer, Razgar suddenly stepped forward, wings flaring, teeth bared. Dane's eyes widened. Whoa, hey, what did I do? The dragon growled deeply. You hide things. You hide strength. You hide fear. Dragons do not trust creatures who hide too much. Dane slowly raised his hands. Razgar, I'm not hiding anything dangerous. You are. The dragon's voice was low, almost warning. Your calmness, your courage, your tricks, your scent does not match your nature. Dane took a small step back. I'm a human. Humans adapt. Razgar stomped forward, placing a clawed foot inches from Dane's boots. A human would have run. A human would have begged for help. A human would not stare into a Vortal's eyes and stay breathing calmly. You are something else. Dane opened his mouth, but then froze. A low rumble rolled beneath the ground. Razgar immediately looked down. The earth cracked. A long claw burst upward. It's tunneling! Dane shouted. Before either could react, a second claw slashed out, aiming directly at Dane's legs. He jumped back as dirt exploded upward. The Vortal burst out of ground like a nightmare rising from a grave, covered in mud, glowing eyes locked on the human. Razgar roared, unleashing a wave of fire. The Vortal dodged with shocking speed and slammed into the dragon's chest, sending him tumbling. Dane stumbled, grabbing for his flare, only for the Vortal to sweep his legs with a tail strike. He hit the ground hard. Razgar roared again, rushing forward, claws extended. The Vortal ducked under him and lunged at Dane, mouth wide open. Dane rolled away just in time, scrambling. His fingers found the flare tube. He aimed, but the Vortal slapped it out his hand. The tube landed meters away, sliding into the darkness. Dane cursed. Oh, come on! The monster charged again. Razgar intercepted with a crushing headbutt, the impact shaking the clearing. The dragon bit into the Vortal's shoulder, tearing scales free. The Vortal screamed and raked its claws across Razgar's wings, ripping through the membranes. Razgar roared in pain. Dane saw it, and something changed in his expression. Fear didn't rise. Determination did. He grabbed a burning log from the fire and sprinted toward the monster. Hey! Over here! The Vortal turned just in time for Dane to smash the burning wood into its face. The creature shrieked, stunned, backing away. Razgar stared in disbelief. You attack it? With a stick? Hot stick, Dane corrected. The Vortal shook its head, eyes furious, and pounced again, this time toward Dane. Razgar leaped between them, claws flashing. The two giant beasts collided with a deafening crack. Razgar forced the Vortal backward, slamming it against a massive tree. Human! Razgar shouted. Find your light. Dane scanned the ground and spotted the flare tube half buried in dirt. He sprinted for it. The Vortal saw him move. It shoved Razgar aside, ripping free, and lunged toward Dane again. Dane dove, sliding across the ground. His fingers closed around the flare tube. He turned. The Vortal was already midair. Dane pressed a button. The flare burst directly into the creature's mouth. A blinding explosion of white filled the night as smoke poured from the Vortal's jaws. It screamed, a horrible, vibrating sound, stumbled backward, crashed into two trees, and collapsed, rolling violently to escape the light burning inside it. Razgar limped to Dane's side, wings torn, chest heaving. Dane stood quietly, breathing hard. The Vortal crawled away, half blind, choking on light. Finally, it disappeared into the dark jungle, defeated. Razgar looked at Dane, voice low and shaken. You risked your life for a dragon. Dane gave a tired smile. Well, you risked yours first. The dragon stared at him for several long seconds. Then, in a deep, serious tone, he said, You are no prey, and you are no ordinary human. The jungle went silent again, but the night was far from over. The jungle of Varos, 9 never rested. Even after the Vortal hunter retreated, the night felt too quiet, too heavy, like the darkness was holding its breath. The glowing plants dimmed slowly, as if they were waiting for the next scream. Razgar stood still, wings torn, breathing hard. Dane checked the flare tube again. Empty, burned out. The last bit of earth-made safety now useless. Dane sighed. Well, that's all my light magic gone. Razgar looked down at him. You fought like a warrior, with fire and foolishness. Dane shrugged. Fire is fire, and your wing looks torn. Rasker glanced back at the shredded membrane. Dragon seldom showed weakness, but the pain was clear in his slowed movements. It will heal, in time, but flight is impossible tonight. Dane looked around the dark jungle, his instinct sharpening. Then we should leave this open area. Rasker shook his head. Move, and we make noise. Noise invites death. Dane sat back down next to the dim fire. So we stay? For now. Silence drifted between them like thick smoke. Only the distant hooting of unknown creatures echoed through the trees. Dane picked up a stick and drew a quick line in the dirt. All right, he said. We need a plan. Rasker narrowed his eyes. A plan? Yeah, Dane said. That big, ugly thing is still out there, and it looked angry enough to chew metal. Rasker gave a rare, low chuckle. Humans named danger so easily. That wasn't a name, Dane replied. That was politeness. Rasker studied the human again. His calmness, his stubborn humor, his refusal to show fear. None of it matched the weak, soft species of dragons believe humans to be. Before Rasker could speak, a distant boom rolled across the jungle. Then another, then three in quick rhythm. Dane frowned. Thunder? Rasker's expression turned dark. No, drums. Drums. The Vortal hunter is calling others. Dane's entire body stilled. You mean more of them? Rasker lowered himself close to the ground. It is forming a hunt pack. It cannot kill you alone, so it calls stronger beasts. Dane rubbed his forehead. Great. So I just made myself the jungle's favorite target. Not just you, Rasker added, his voice turning serious. Me as well. To kill a dragon, they will come in numbers. The air shifted. Something heavy moved in the distance, trees shaking, branches cracking. Dane felt the vibration under his boots. How far? He whispered. Not far enough, Rasker answered. A low growl echoed through the darkness. Then another, deeper, meaner. Dane grabbed a sharp branch. This isn't going to do much, but it makes me feel better. Rasker suddenly lowered his head until his massive, I was level with a human. Climb onto my back. Dane blinked. You said you can't fly. I cannot, but I can run. Dane hesitated only a second before climbing onto the dragon's back. The scales were warm, rough, and alive with energy. Rasker inhaled deeply. Hold tight, human. Dane gripped the dragon's neck ridge. If I fall, you're paying my medical bill. Rasker snorted. If you fall, you'll be eaten. There will be no bill. Then the dragon moved. Not slowly. Not carefully. He charged. The ground thundered under his steps. Trees whipped past in a blur of glowing leaves. Dane flattened himself against the dragon's neck, the wind tearing at his clothes. Behind him, the jungle exploded with roars. The pack had found the trail. Rasker ran faster. The jungle floor shook with every impact. Dane's heart pounded, but his mind stayed sharp. He scanned the surrounding darkness for movement. Something moved above them. Dane yelled, Rasker, left. The dragon turned sharply as a giant creature with long, spiked limbs dropped from the canopy, missing him by inches and smashing into the ground. Another one lunged from the side. Rasker slammed into it with his shoulder, knocking away without slowing down. They know where we're running. Dane shouted. No, Rasker growled. They push us toward something. Dane swallowed. Toward what? The answer came seconds later. They burst into a clearing, and Dane saw it. A huge pit, dark, wide, deep, a natural trap formed by ancient roots. Rasker skidded, claws digging into ground, dirt spraying everywhere. He stopped just at the edge. From the trees around them, glowing eyes appeared. Dozens, maybe more. Vortal shapes moved in the shadows, surrounding them. Dane whispered, Well, this is bad. Rasker slowly turned his head, protecting the human with his body. Stay behind me. Dane slid off the dragon's back, breathing hard. We can't win against all of them. No, Rasker said, but we can make them hesitate. The largest Vortal stepped forward, the same one they fought earlier. Its mouth smoked faintly from the burn flare, and its eyes shone with pure rage. It growled something low and sharp like a challenge. Razker answered with a thunderous roar of his own. The jungle shook. The Vortal pack flinched. "Nice," Dane said softly. "Big voice." "Dragon voice," Razker corrected. The pack circled closer. Dane grabbed a piece of broken wood, gripping it like a spear. "Razker, if we're going to die, we are not dying tonight." "How can you be sure?" Razker looked at him, eyes burning like twin suns. "Because you surprised a dragon. You blinded a hunter, and you stood before death without fear. If you can do that, you can survive the jungle." Dane sucked in a breath. "I'm honored." "Do not be," Razker growled. "Fight." The Vortals roared as one and charged. Razker unleashed fire. Dane rushed forward with the broken spear. The night erupted into chaos, and the true battle for survival began. The clearing burned with chaos. Fire, claws, teeth, and shadows moved so fast that Dane couldn't tell where one creature ended and another began. Razker stood over him like a living fortress. Flames bursting from his jaws, claws slicing through the night. But the Vortals were not simple beasts. They were coordinated, fast, smart, and angry. 3 lunged at Razker from different angles. Another 2 sprinted toward Dane. Razker slammed his tail like a whip, sending one flying. Then he turned and bit into another's shoulder, ripping scales off. But for every creature he knocked aside, 2 more moved in. Dane's spear, just a broken branch, felt laughably small, yet he held it tight. One of the smaller Vortals rushed at him. Dane dodged to the side and stabbed the creature in the neck. It screeched and fell, thrashing. But Dane didn't feel victory, only danger. The biggest Vortal, the one he had blinded earlier, pushed forward through the pack. Its mouth still smoked from the flare. Its fury was unmatched. Razker tried to intercept, but 3 Vortals pounced on him at once, dragging him down by wings, limbs, and tail. The big hunter broke free and ran straight toward Dane. "Dane!" Razker roared. Dane turned too late. The Vortal slammed into him like a charging bull. Dane flew across the ground, hit a thick root, and rolled. His vision blurred. Pain exploded across his ribs. The beast closed in. Razker burst free from the smaller hunters in one violent spin, sending them flying. He lunged to protect Dane. But the pack attacked again, biting and pulling at his injured wings. He roared, but they held him down. The big Vortal towered over Dane, its glowing eyes filled with hunger and hatred. Dane coughed and pushed himself up. Everything hurt. The Vortal raised one of its 4 arms. It struck. Dane rolled away, feeling claws slice the air an inch from his face. He scrambled backward until his hand hit a stone. Sharp, heavy, good enough. The Vortal lunged again. Dane swung the stone as hard as he could, smashing into the creature's eye. The beast screamed. Its whole body shook. Dane staggered to his feet. Then the Vortal grabbed him. Huge claws wrapped around Dane's torso like steel bands. He gasped, feeling the crushing pressure. Razker saw it happen, and something in the dragon snapped. Fire burst from his throat. He tore free from the other hunters, ripping one in half with his jaws. He slammed the other 2 aside with one sweep of his wing. Razker charged, but he was a heartbeat too late. The Vortal lifted Dane up, almost triumphantly, and threw him across the clearing like a broken doll. Dane hit the ground hard. A violent silence followed. Razker froze. For the first time, real fear hit the dragon. The Vortal pack paused too, watching the human's still body with interest, as though waiting for movement or death. Razker took a slow step forward. "Human," he growled softly. "Get up." Dane didn't move. The big Vortal laughed, a horrible, broken sound. It turned toward the dragon with bloodlust. Razker's eyes narrowed. Slowly, the dragon stepped between Dane and the pack. "You touched him. You hurt what is under my protection." The Vortal roared back. Razker spread his wings, not for flight, but for dominance. The tattered membranes glowed from inner heat. "I will end every one of you." The pack charged. Razgar unleashed pure rage. He fought like a storm, like a wildfire, like a dragon reminding the jungle why its kind once ruled this moon. He crushed one skull under his claw. He burned two more until they melted like wax. He bit the biggest Vortal, throwing it across the clearing. But there were too many, and his wing was torn, and his strength was fading. And Dane wasn't moving. Razgar backed toward Dane's body, refusing to leave him. The pack tightened around them. The big Vortal limped forward again, half-burned, blind in one eye. It growled something low and mocking. Razgar lowered his head, panting. "You want the human? You must take him over my dead body." The Vortal grinned. It attacked. And then a small sound broke the chaos. A cough. Razgar's heart jolted. Dane pushed himself up slowly, face covered in blood and dirt. He groaned. "Somebody remind me to never offend giant monsters." The Vortal snapped toward him. Razgar almost dropped from relief. "Human, you live." "Barely," Dane muttered, "but still alive." The big Vortal lunged at Dane again. This time, Dane was ready. He grabbed a vine-wrapped object from his belt, something Razgar hadn't noticed before. A metal cylinder with a glowing blue edge. Dane whispered, "Sorry, buddy. I was saving this." The Vortal jumped. Dane clicked the device. A shockwave burst out. Blue lightning cracked through the air, smashing into the creature's chest and throwing it back like a rag doll. The blast lit the jungle like daytime for half a second. The entire pack froze. Razgar stared at the device. "You carry human thunder?" Dane exhaled. "Prototype. Emergency only." He lifted the device again, glowing brighter. The pack realized something. The human was not weak. The human was dangerous. And the jungle suddenly felt less confident. Razgar lowered himself protectively as Dane limped to his side. A dragon. A human. Back to back. The Vortals growled, uncertain. Dane whispered, "Razgar, ready for round two?" Razgar grinned, showing sharp teeth. Always human. The pack charged again, and the fight for survival raged on. The second wave of the Vortal assault hit the clearing, like a living avalanche. Claws scraped the earth, jaws snapped like breaking bones, and the air filled with dust, sparks, and flame. Dane stood with the blue-edged shock device glowing in his hand. Razgar stood beside him, wings torn, chest burned, but eyes burning brighter than the fire around them. The Vortals, however, finally understood something dangerous. The human was not prey. The human was a threat. They hesitated just a moment, but in a battlefield, a moment was everything. Dane raised the device again. "Come on, then. Round two." The largest Vortal growled, signaling the pack to split apart. Instead of rushing together, they fanned out, surrounding Dane and Razgar from all sides. Razgar hissed. "They learned." Dane wiped blood from his mouth. "Good. I'm tired of their learning curve." The beasts lunged, 6 of them at once. Razgar met 2 head-on, slamming them aside with his horns. One clawed his shoulder, ripping skin, but the dragon didn't fall. He roared flames so hot the air shook. Dane blasted another beast with the shock device, sending electricity crackling across its armored skin. It screamed, convulsing, then collapsed. But 2 more circled around, rushing him from both sides. Dane turned left, and the right side Vortal leaped at his back. Razgar saw it. He moved without thinking. He dived between Dane and the beast, taking a hit on his already injured wing. The creature's claws tore deeper, but Razgar bit down on its arm and threw it aside with a violent shake. Dane stumbled back, chest heaving. "Razgar, you're bleeding." "It is a dragon's duty," Razgar growled. "I protect my allies." "Allies?" Dane blinked. "Yes," Razgar said, slamming another Vortal to the ground. "You fight beside me. You bleed beside me. That makes you kin." Dane opened his mouth, surprised, touched, confused. Then the jungle interrupted. Branches snapped above. Something huge was coming. The Vortals backed away as a shadow moved across the clearing, bigger than all of them combined. Dane gripped Razgar's scales nervously. "What is that?" Razgar didn't answer at first. His eyes widened, pupils shrinking. When he did speak, his voice dropped to a whisper. A forest sovereign. The creature stepped into view. A towering beast covered in moss-like fur, with antlers made of hardened bark, eyes glowing bright yellow. Its legs were massive trunks, and its claws dripped green sap that hissed when it touched the ground. It wasn't part of the Vortal pack. It was worse. The Vortals immediately lowered themselves. They bowed. They submitted. The sovereign was their apex leader, lord of the jungle's deadliest hunters. Dane swallowed. Why is it here? Razgar whispered. Your blood, your device, the chaos. You're called the sovereign. The creature walked forward slowly, its weight making the earth tremble. Razgar stepped in front of Dane again. Stay behind me. Can you fight that thing? Dane asked. No. Razgar's jaw tightened. Not alone. The forest sovereign roared, a deep, ancient sound that shook the leaves off nearby trees. Its breath smelled like rotting wood. It lowered its head and started moving toward them. Dane tightened his grip on the device. I can blast it. Maybe. Razgar shook his head sharply. No, that creature absorbs energy. Your device will only make it stronger. Dane muttered, Of course it will. The Vortal pack tightened behind the sovereign, ready to rush in once their leader made the first strike. Razgar's wings twitched. He was preparing his final defense. Then, something unexpected happened. The sovereign stopped and sniffed at Dane. Again, slow, curious. Its huge nostrils flared as it leaned closer, so close Dane could feel its warm breath. Razgar's tail tensed. Do not move, human. I wasn't planning to. The sovereign inhaled deeply and suddenly jerked back its head. Its glowing eyes widened, not in rage, not in hunger, but in recognition. It released a strange, echoing grunt, stepped back, and the Vortals immediately reacted. They hissed, confused, unsure whether to attack or retreat. Dane whispered, What is happening? Razgar stared at him. Your scent, your blood. It carries something old, something the jungle knows. Dane blinked. My blood? It's just human blood. Razgar shook his head. No, you said you survive worse. You hide something, something the sovereign fears. Dane frowned. Listen, I'm not hiding superpowers. Razgar stepped closer, studying him. Your calmness, your resistance, your scent. Human blood should not smell like this. Dane hesitated. There was something from his past, something he tried to forget. But before he could speak, the forest sovereign roared again, this time in warning. It glared at the Vortal pack, then turned and left. The pack followed, confused and frustrated, but obedient. Within moments, the clearing was silent again. Dane collapsed to his knees, breathing hard. Razgar slowly lowered himself as well, exhausted, bleeding but alive. After a long moment, Dane said quietly, Why didn't it kill us? Razgar's eyes were fixed on him, filled with both awe and suspicion. It smelled your blood, the dragon said, and it changed its mind. Dane swallowed. That still makes no sense. Razgar leaned close. Human, your blood does not lie. And now I must know. He paused. Who are you really? Dane looked away. The silence between them grew heavy, because this time, Dane didn't have a joke. He didn't have a smile. He didn't have an excuse. Only secrets. And the jungle had just revealed the first one. The jungle was quiet, too quiet. No roars, no hissing, no shaking branches. Only the burning smell of Razgar's fire and the faint crackle of broken leaves filled the air. Dane sat on a fallen root, breathing slowly, trying to steady himself. Razgar crouched nearby, watching him with an intensity that felt heavier than any monster they had faced tonight. Human, the dragon finally said, You will tell me the truth now. Dane rubbed his neck. Razgar, it's not. Do not lie. Razgar growled, tail striking the ground. The forest sovereign bowed to you. The Vortal pack fled. Your blood changed the fate of the fight. This is not normal. Dane stared at the ground. Even the trees leaned in, like the entire jungle was waiting. Razgar lowered his head until his burning eyes met Dane's tired ones. You said you are an explorer, but explorers do not hide from their own past. Dane let out a long breath. He knew this moment would come. He just hoped it wouldn't be tonight. Fine, Dane said softly. You want the truth? I'll tell you. Razgar didn't blink. Dane took a breath and began. I wasn't always an explorer. The words came reluctantly. I was part of a human research program. Something secret. Something experimental. Razgar growled, suspicious but patient. What kind of experiment? Dane looked up, eyes distant. Genetic modification. Human DNA mixed with alien samples found on old ruins. They wanted humans who could adapt faster, survive anything, resist alien diseases, last longer in extreme conditions. Razgar frowned. You were changed. Dane nodded slowly. Not fully, not like they wanted, but enough. He looked down at his bloodstained hands. I heal faster. I fear slower. My heart stays calm even when I'm dying. My scent confuses predators because it's not purely human anymore. Razgar sat back, processing. And the sovereign? Dane sighed. The DNA they used came from very old human discoveries. Some kind of ancient species. Something powerful. Something the jungle on this moon still remembers. Razgar's eyes widened. Your blood carries the scent of an ancestor species. Dane nodded. Yeah, something the forest sovereign recognized. The dragon exhaled a long, rumbling sound. So you are neither prey nor normal human. You are something in between. Dane smirked weakly. That's one way to say it. Razgar's gaze softened, not completely, but enough. You should have told me. Dane looked away. Humans fear what they don't understand. Dragons might too. Razgar gave a deep, low hum. Not dragons. We respect strength, even hidden strength. Silence fell again, but it didn't last. The ground trembled. Razgar instantly turned toward the sound, wings raising despite pain. Dane stood too, adrenaline returning like lightning in his veins. Another Vortal? No, Razgar whispered. Something bigger. The trees parted as a group of dragons, 5 of them, descended from the sky. Their scales ranged from emerald green to storm gray. They landed around Razgar in a protective circle. Dane stiffened. Razgar whispered, My clan. The leading dragon, much older, stepped forward, glaring at Dane. Brother, we found you injured and surrounded by death, explained this creature. Razgar moved between them. The human is with me. The elder dragon growled. You defend prey? He is not prey, Razgar snapped. He is kin. The dragons hissed in disbelief. Dane raised both hands. Hey, nice wings, everyone. Razgar shot him a look. Do not joke now. Right. Serious time. Got it. The elder dragon's eyes narrowed. Why does the jungle bow to this little creature? Razgar replied, Because his blood carries ancient strength. All the dragons hissed in shock. Dane sighed. This is why I don't tell people things. The elder walked closer, sniffing Dane. His expression changed instantly, shock turning to uneasy respect. It is true, he said. He carries a forgotten scent. Your human smells like a conqueror species. Dane coughed. Conqueror sounded a little dramatic. Razgar grinned. You blind monsters with sticks. It fits. Dane rolled his eyes. That was one time. The elder dragon gave a deep nod. If the sovereign spared you, then you are protected by ancient law. No beast may hunt you. Dane blinked. Wait, protected? Like a VIP pass. Razgar smirked. More like a warning. If anyone hunts you, the sovereign hunts them. Dane paused. Okay, that's actually pretty cool. The elder dragon turned serious. Razgar, your wing is broken. Return to the nesting cliffs. The human, too. The clan will guard him. Razgar looked at Dane. You trust dragons? Dane shrugged. Do dragons serve breakfast? Razgar growled. Human? Dane laughed. Yeah, I trust you. For the first time, a real warmth filled Rasker's eyes. Then climb. We leave together. Dane climbed onto his back carefully. The other dragons formed a protective formation around them. As they lifted into the sky, the jungle glowed below, alive, dangerous, and whispering with ancient energy. Rasker spoke one last time over the rushing wind. You surprised the dragon. You defeated hunters. And you carry blood older than both our species. Dane smiled. Is that good? Rasker's answer was simple. It makes you family. Dane rested a hand on the dragon's warm scales. And you? You're not so scary after all. Rasker rumbled in amusement. We will see what you say when you meet the hatchlings. Dane froze. Hatchlings. Rasker grinned. Yes, they love new toys. Dane yelled, Wait, what? Rasker laughed, a deep, thundering sound echoing across the night sky. And together, they flew toward a future neither of them could have imagined.